school. You could see both. And it was the first cartoon series for kids that had a continual story, an overarching story. So each episode led into the next, and things that happened in episodes before sometimes were referenced, or it was still just a continual plot line. And even as a young kid in 77, 78, I was 3 or 4 years old, but I still craved something like that. I still liked this idea that you could tell a complete story and that you thought of a child as someone who was worth telling this complete story to. I even remember feeling frustration with some of the Saturday morning cartoons and some of the cooler ones. Going back to Thundar the Barbarian, right? Amazing idea, this concept for a show, which, by the way, was The Walking Dead before we had The Walking Dead.
That's fair.
Post-apocalyptic barbarian running through the earth with some kind of Wookiee Sasquatch thing. But every week there was a problem to be solved, and a witch. We don't know why, and he had a lightsaber. That's why, because everything went back to Star Wars. It still was the case back then, for sure. It's still a little now.
It was a ripoff. It was.
But to me, this was the opening, and it led into, of course, understanding of more anime. But I still come back to this particular series and why it always holds such an interesting place in my heart. What it taught me about the Japanese aesthetic and culture, and really how, in its own interesting way, it got me to start to look at another culture and another country, and I think give it more of a chance and really want to learn more about it and learn more about its artwork and learn more about what it had to offer to this nerdy subsect. Because, as I said, I was just so voraciously, hungry and looking for anything that could fill that Star Wars void that after 77. Because once again, kids, we grew up in the dark ages. Once a movie went out of the theater, you couldn't see it again. You did not even have a VHS tape. You certainly didn't have a DVD, any of that stuff. You had nothing. You just had to just remember it, which is why, of course, I used to play act these things out with toys in my imagination all the time. And my son still does that even after he watches shows now.
I can just hear children saying, "Daddy, he's scaring me."
I tried to explain it to my kids. They literally have the blankest look on their faces. They have no idea.
To the two children in our audience listening, this is the equivalent of Uncle Josh saying that he walked to school 5 miles each way uphill in snow, no matter what the season. That was the equivalent.
I had to rewind my VCR tapes and pay.
Uncle Josh, aka the Birdman, is over here trying to make it seem like we all had to gather around some woman with a flip book who just did it real fast a few different times for us to see a movie again.
I'll tell you.
Hey, in a pinch, it would always work. And when we went, we're all from Boston up here. We had the Children's Museum, and they used to have a zoetrope up there that you could draw different frames of and spin it around and look at your own movie, right? That's how we had to do these things. God damn it.
I did
draw my own movies.
All right.
But I just kind of want to use that as that jumping off point, talking about, how that culture affected us, how it affected our artwork, our aesthetic, our interest levels. So I want to kick it over to the Star Child here, aptly named, because we're going out to the stars here. And, tell us a little bit, especially as a resident artist, what this particular art form meant to you, and, what worlds it opened up for you.
If we're going towards periods of it, it was, like I said, the biggest thing was what it unlocked as far as nerd culture was concerned. If we're talking about Japan, just think nerd culture. And I'll go as long as I possibly can without saying hentai, but I can't make promises. But the two biggest things, video games and anime. Boom, right out the bat. We could say manga, which is the books. And no, we're not going to do that because we're not. But the point is, it made that down the road so much more acceptable. It was a question of, think about it in this sense. By the time the 1980s came around and you had the first batch of anime that came out, which was Voltron and Robotech and those, you had the second generation, which was Dragon Ball Z, which went into a realm of sci-fi and mysticism and martial arts that just blew your mind. It just came from so many directions simultaneously. And it slowly but surely made it cool to be a nerd. Because before then, I mean, you remember our generation, especially me, growing up in the city. I mean, if you were a nerd, you were either an outcast and no one could see you anyway, or you were actively trying to get your ass beat. Like you wanted it to happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, those were your options back in the day, you know?
And the occasional convention. Like that was like an oasis.
Occasional convention, but you know what I mean? It was not a place where cool or attractive people went. It was not where people with money went. Like this was the absolute dregs of your society. But an evolution happened. I mean, obviously, it also has to do with the fact that the anime got better. You know, it actually got good. But between the technology improving, the ability to get it out to more people faster, you didn't have these crappy VHS with voiceovers done by random awful actors. It really got to the point where it was a high art that was dealing with themes that, you know, Disney and, you know, Hanna-Barbera, they just weren't dealing with, you know. So by the time between Dragon Ball Z and Studio Ghibli, it was an explosion of creativity. So then obviously corporations are going to take some attention to this. And yes, nerds buy crap. I mean, you guys are more into Star Wars than I am, but let's be honest. You know, socks, underwear, lunchboxes, a pen. We don't care. Straws. Yeah, right?
I still am. The shit
right?
comes across my feet. I'm like, I need that.
Right. You need that. Why do you need that? I don't care. It's got the name of the thing that I like on it. I need it. Period. Nerds buy more crap than any other, more than sports, more than any other TV show, sitcom, or anything. Nerds will buy it, and they'll buy 5 or 6 different versions of it. And so, tailor-made for the corporate market, which is another thing that Japan does. Because the beauty of Japan is whatever they take on, they do it to the nth degree. You know what I mean? Be it jazz, baseball, classical music, whatever it is, the Japanese will take it to that next level. They're almost like the France of the Pacific. They can't just leave shit alone. You know what I mean? Like they have to make it something extra. And that, and again, you know, touching on what they did with their manufacturing and their technology, took it to that next level. And you touch on technology again, video games. I mean, they made video game. All right, yes, the Atari was there, whatever. But let's be honest, it was the Nintendo and a little guy named Mario that really made it happen. Like that was the thing that really made video games come forward. And then by the time the PlayStation came out, then you had not just, you know, the nerds who were going to be nerds anyway, and then the people jumping on the bandwagon coming along. You had the bros. That's right. You had the bros. You had the bros. You had the pretty girls. You had the people who were in, suddenly buying the merch and quoting the shows and quoting the games. It was happening. Like it became very quickly the cool thing to be. Now, again, corporations, gamers will buy crap. And they will absolutely buy that next console, and they will absolutely make them a fortune. No question. But the beauty of the console was it made it so you could have a variety of nerds buying all of that crap. You know, keep that in mind. Because the bros, I mean, you know, like they're not playing an RPG. They're just not doing it. All right. But they can play their Call of Duty and they can play their 2K Live. You know, like, girl, trust me, I was in a basement smoking weed with like 5 or 6 bros. And when I tell you nothing got more heated than the conversation about video games, it honestly got ugly. 2 of them sell drugs. And they got ugly when somebody tried to disrespect Kingdom Hearts.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. Not Halo, not Call of Duty, a belligerent, half-naked Irish duck. That's what everybody got really excited about being able to play at.
Very Scottish.
They were like, why wasn't, Donald Duck and his, Sailor Rage an unlockable character in Kingdom Hearts? All right. Like these kinds of that is a revolution, And so by that point, everyone's happy. And you have right now a level of acceptance, which is probably another reason why this generation is so much better adjusted than we were at that same age. You have an entire yeah, right?
Yeah.
You can just be whatever nerd shit. You can literally wear the costume to school.
Indeed.
It's in Walmart. It is on every streaming service. It's in the movie theaters. People are quoting it in popular songs. Japan and what it did for nerds and nerd culture, not just basement-dwelling D&D fans. No, by God. I'm talking about mainstream culture.
It's pretty amazing and it's pretty true. And I'm still kind of fucking pissed off about it in the end, to be honest, because I jumped on at the beginning of this and not at the end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And all cool was when I was an adult at that point and in college and a working slob. So,
and the thing that is really awful about it, it's like they have so much variety now, so much more stuff you can buy. When I mentioned the thing about the crappy only being able to get the crappy VHSs, that was a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and there was only a few that you can get. But between, I want to say, the two biggest events would probably, three biggest events was probably definitely the Nintendo, Toonami, and Saturday Anime on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
Those three things combined made it not only unbelievably profitable, but it made it the next thing to do. Everyone was talking about that. I mean, I was probably in high school by the time those things were happening, but everyone was talking about it in high school, regardless of age, economic background, or what you were actually into.
Well, it is amazing to me when I think about just all that we're talking about now, and that that I was really gratefully able to get you guys to sit down with me and start this podcast. That we decided we wanted to talk about what we know, which was pop culture, and how much it really does. This is incredibly sappy what I'm about to say, but it does bring people together, right? We got three guys here from pretty different backgrounds, but yet right off the bat, when I met Greg, I forget what geek reference I made, but we knew we spoke the same language instantaneously.
That's fair. Yeah.
And that was, the really wonderful part about it. And especially growing up as an outcast, being an outcast within whatever society you were. But it has been interesting and amazing to watch it grow to become the mainstream. As you say, there's song lyrics, hip hop lyrics, referencing things, video games. And like you say, bros playing the video games. Yeah, they should, my kids are downstairs playing Mario as we speak. Right. My youngest still likes to watch the older one play Luigi's Mansion, but it's a little too scary for him. So it's so cute.
He'll get over it.
He's like, Isaac, I want you to play Luigi's Mansion. It's so cute. But there it is, and they ask me all the time, they're like, what was Mario like when you were a kid, Dad? Like, that they want to know, this connection to it and all the, all of that. Still, there's this thread that runs right through everything for us. So it is pretty impressive to see how another culture, really brought that to us, gave that particular gift to us, especially after we, nuked them twice. Not usually the ending after, the bloodiest war on the planet.
But they still kept coming.
Yes, this is, still found a way to.
And just as a quick side note, look up pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki today.
Oh, they're amazing. It is truly, it's truly nothing short of miraculous, right?
Yeah.
to see that. Nagasaki is gorgeous. Gorgeous port city. So